All right, welcome everybody. I'm a little bit worried about how small this area is and I might just fall off the stage, but we're gonna be okay. How's everybody doing today? All right, day 3, hanging in there? All right, welcome. Thank you guys for joining today. I don't know if you know, but this is a repeat session from Tuesday because of all of the demand. So thank you very much for joining us. My name is Joanne, and I will be joined by some of my colleagues, Talhah, Mitra, and Shilpa, and we're coming together to walk you through how Microsoft Purview helps you secure and govern your data in the era of AI. And I'll be honest with you, we want to get through the slides pretty quick so we can show you the actual product through a bunch of demos. So can you guys see the slides okay? Here we go. This is where we want to be. So this is not a surprise to anyone. AI transformation is happening now. We know that most organizations are using, deploying, and implementing AI already. 3/4 of knowledge workers, people like you and me, we're using AI in our daily work, but only 1% of risk leaders really feel prepared and ready for this sort of democratization of AI. And we've got a mounting set of concerns from leaders, as expected, around the concern around leakage of sensitive data and oversharing, and 80% of leaders are very concerned about this, and almost half of them want to continue banning AI just to reduce the risk. We've got organizations that we know great AI comes from a modern, intelligent data platform, but only 31% of organizations have established a global data architecture, and only 25% have implemented a proper data quality management program. And that's important, we know, because you need great data quality to get great AI. And then across 900 different agencies, we're seeing about 200 updates a day across the regulatory landscape. And you combine this all together, and I get it, it's very concerning. And when you layer that on top of the challenges that we already live with today around disparate and fragmented solutions, just in the data security world alone, from a Microsoft Data Security Index report, organizations have more than 10 data security solutions in their organizations today. And when you expand that to think about that modern data platform I'm talking about, customers, some reports say that customers have up to 150 different vendors across data integration tools, data cleansing tools, data governance tools, analytics, and AI. This is a lot of fragmentation that creates silos and creates risk. This is why we've built Microsoft Purview. We've pulled together disparate tooling into a single unified solution across data security, data compliance, and data governance, with a shared set of capabilities underneath across a built-in native data map and connectors, so you have a single view into the data across your data estate. You get AI-powered built-in classification engine. You get common visibility across all this tooling and a single unified common management portal. And what you get is access to all of these key capabilities that you need for data security, data governance, and data compliance. And Purview is on an active journey to bring all this great value across your heterogeneous data estate. Microsoft 365, the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform, business apps, copilots, and key third-party apps and solutions. And what this brings to you is a really efficient way to then do data governance and data security, support regulations and compliance requirements, and we have purpose-built capabilities to help you safeguard your AI innovation. We're going to kick off with secure and govern all your data. Oops, we were missing a slide there. I'm going to bring Talhah on stage, and he's going to walk us through how we help secure and govern, or sorry, secure your data.
Thank you, Joanne. Appreciate that very much. Hello, everybody. I'm assuming nobody saw the first version of this that happened 2 days ago? Everybody's new to this, right? Okay, good, good, good. So let's get started. The first thing, sorry?
Things are falling apart here.
Oh yeah, some panel fell off, but I think it's okay. We'll survive that one. What I want to do is just set up data security and then dig into a demo. So just like Joanne said, we're going to try not to do too much on slides. So Purview Data Security Suite, so as Joanne mentioned, we have data security, data compliance, data governance. Data security is made up of 3 products that come together to help you identify and mitigate risks across your data estate. And that's to do with understanding your data at rest, data in transit, and your user risks. Because it's like a common saying that we have, data doesn't move itself, people move data. So when the data is moving around, you want to understand the user and the intent behind it so you can manage that risk more effectively. And to understand data at rest, it's all about information protection. Understanding where data resides, what kind of classification or sensitivity is in it, so you can label it, protect it in storage. And then after that, it's about data transit. So as data is moving around within the organization or outside the organization, potentially getting overshared or exfiltrated out, how do you keep a track of that? How do you manage that? How do you block that or put the right controls in place to be able to manage that? And then last, certainly not least, insider risk management, which is about understanding the user intent behind that kind of data leak, potential data leak, data oversharing, or data theft, which could lead to those types of risks. And then the 3 of them together are bound in this capability we have called adaptive protection. How many people heard of adaptive protection? Oh, good, that's pretty good. So adaptive protection is about understanding and acknowledging the fact that an effective data security strategy has to have a balance between productivity and security. Because if you err too much on the side of security, you can negatively impact productivity. If you err too much on the side of productivity, then you can actually open up a lot of holes in your environment. So that balance is important. And what adaptive protection does is takes user risk into account to dynamically bind controls or users into DLP controls. So as they get risky, then you put them in more restrictive controls. And as the risk decays, which the dimension we look at today is time, as it decays, you pull them back. And we have adaptive protection with DLP, but we also have it with Entra conditional access. So you can drive conditional access or Entra identity controls using user risk levels from insider risk management as well. So with that, we're actually incredibly excited today to announce our entry into data security posture management. Now, before I get into this, a quick demo I want to show you about this, I want to set this up a little bit. So DSPM for us is actually more than just data discovery or data classification. It's actually more than just detecting data activity or user activity. What it is about connecting the dots between where data is stored, how that data and storage may be protected or not, how that data is moving, who is moving that data, and the risks associated with the users moving that data. And it's important to understand that full perspective so you get a holistic view of your data security risks so you can manage that posture effectively. So that's just a little bit of a background on how we think about this space in general. So with that, let me actually jump into a quick demo of this thing. I think I am number 3. Yep. So what you see in the Purview portal, when you get there, you'll be able to see these cards for the different solutions. You'll have insider risk management and data loss prevention and information protection. You'll also see this one for data security posture management. Super easy to set up. You go there, click a button. We won't talk about setup here. But there's actually 4 things I want to land as part of this demo. Number 1, the reports. So the kinds of risks that we can help you discover and see so you can act on it. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to talk about is recommendations. So after you discover that risk, how do you drive the kind of protections with the policies in place so you can manage that risk? Third is going to be trends. So because your workforce is going to be dynamic, your data security risks are going to be dynamic. So you want to be able to trend over time how your risks are evolving or decaying. And last, certainly not least, we can't have a conversation without talking about Copilot. So we'll talk about how this stuff powers is powered by Copilot as well, so we'll do that today too, if everything goes well. So the first thing, reports. So when you land in this, I'll do a quick check on time. When you land in this portal, you'll see these two cards. Remember I talked about understanding the data and the user side both. These two cards give you that view. So on the left, you'll get all the data that's discovered across your estate. You'll even be able to dig into that report. For this demo, we won't necessarily go into that. You could see things like how much sensitive information is found, how many assets were found. You can see how many of those, what are the sensitive information types that were detected based on out-of-the-box classifiers, custom classifiers, EDM, things like that. You can see how many files have labels on it, how many files have labels without protection, things like that. So you get to focus in on where your sensitive data may be. On the other side, you can then see how that data is being moved by users. And so what kind of activity patterns are behind the users that are moving that data? And these could be transactional events, like somebody printing a document, uploading something to the cloud, or they could be what we call these anomaly patterns, an anomalous amount of content being printed or uploaded to the cloud. And that could be baselined against the rest of the organizations or peer groups and things like that, all that sophisticated stuff we have. And last, certainly not least, you can also look at what we call these sequence detections, which are actually chained events, like somebody, for example, takes a file, obfuscates that file, exfiltrates that file, and then deletes that file in an event to kind of cover their tracks. So those things are covered as well as part of these things. So you get to see the top activities on your unprotected data, the types of activity, and also the profile, the risk profile of the user. Is it a disgruntled user? Is it a departing user? Is it a high-risk user? Is it a potentially high-risk user? On and on and on. Some of these classifiers are built into insider risk management that you can see. Others you can actually configure yourself. So you can define what you consider high risk, medium risk, low risk for your organization. So that's a quick look, and you can dig into these things, but I won't do that here in the interest of time. That's reports. Number two, then it comes to recommendations. So how do you actually manage that posture? Now, one of the things in these demos you'll find is, we talk about specific labels a lot. Microsoft ends up talking about Project Obsidian a lot. I've seen a lot of talks from Microsoft. You'll hear Project Obsidian a lot. So we have the same kind of talk track here. Project Obsidian comes up a lot. So in this case, the recommendation that may come up is, hey, there's a lot of sequential activity that might leak to sensitive data. You can see that up here too, performing exfiltration activities that exceed organizational or peer group amounts. So what it could do is actually take that and propose that as a recommended policy that you can drive. And the really powerful thing here is you can actually create both an insider risk and a DLP policy from that one plane, which is a massive deal. A lot of times in organizations, you have different teams driving those different functions. You have separate insider risk teams and separate DLP teams. And the ability to drive it together in a cohesive way is important so you don't have things fall through the cracks. So you can actually drive that from one place. You can still create them independently if you want. Those are options that are available too, but it'll give you a recommended policy. It'll give you all the tuning and all the indicators and the thresholds and whatnot that you need. You can customize it to your heart's content if you like, or you can select the defaults and say, I'll set it up, and then you're good to go. Last, certainly not least, trends. So like I said, your workforce is dynamic. That means your data security risks are going to be dynamic. What's risky today may not be risky tomorrow. What's not risky today may become risky tomorrow. Look what happened when work from home started, and all these abnormal patterns became normal patterns because people were working from home at that point. So the way the trends are set up are actually very simple to understand. The three things that you care about when it comes to your posture is how are you managing your data at rest, which fundamentally means labeling your documents. Right? It's okay if it's not 100%, but where are you in your organization compared to the amount of sensitive content that you have? So you can see that over time. And the reason that you want to see that over time is your organization's producing a lot of content. And with Copilot, you're actually producing a lot more content. And we'll talk about that in a very unique way afterwards. But you want to see how you're keeping pace with the content creation in your organization. Are you able to keep up with the amount of content that you're creating that you're actually labeling as well? Second trend is DLP, which is as content is moving around, do you have the right policies in place to be able to protect the dynamic nature of your data movement, the different exfiltration channels, the different types of users, the different types of behaviors, the different types of sensitive content that's being moved around. And last but not least, your risky users in your organizations, right? So this could be unintentional as well. This doesn't have to be intentional insiders. These are users that have good intent in mind, but they're just negligent in the kind of data security practices that they carry out. So you can see that too. So that's a quick look at what you could do with the DSPM. Like I said, very excited about this stuff. This is rolling out to your tenants. It should be available over the next couple of weeks. So please do try it out. It's a single click. It is opt-in, by the way. It's not on by default. Privacy is a big thing for us. So it's not like it's going to start running if it rolls on your tenant. You still have to click a button to acknowledge it, and then it starts the process and give you that stuff. Copilot. Anybody heard of Copilot?
What is it?
Huh? It's a bird. It's a bird. So once you get this thing, you'll actually have Copilot embedded in it. Now, the base DSPM, you get it as part of E5. I usually get claps on that one. I mean, it's usually it's in E5. It's there. It's not an add-on. But Copilot is an add-on. So you do have to get these SCUs, and then you get the Copilot. But the capabilities it gives you, let's talk about those a little bit. So what it starts off with is, DSPM by default will give you aggregate trends, right? Which is great. But these aggregate trends, we've had these in the past with DLP analytics, IRM analytics. When customer said, I want specificity. I want to be able to drill in and say, who is that one user that's doing X? Or what is that one file that went out the door in this channel? To get to that level of specificity, that's where Copilot comes in. So you'll have these starter prompts that you can start off with to prioritize alerts, look at data leaks, find devices at risk, so on and so forth. So you can just use your natural language, start off a hunting investigation, if you like. So which sensitive data, for example, was shared outside the organization, and you'll get the response. There's suggested prompts on top of that that you can add to go further if you wanted to. And then there's tons more on Copilot, but I'll leave it at that in the interest of time. So with that, I'll hand it off to Joanne. Thank you.
Thank you. Felt like a lucky winner just then. Thank you so much, Talhah, for walking us through that awesome demo. What do you guys think? Yeah. All right. I'm going to change gears just a tiny bit, and we're going to talk about how Purview also helps you govern data across the digital estate. And what we're going to walk through is a solution that's been purpose-built for the business, for the central data office. But the more we talk to CISOs and the security teams, the more we hear how much they care and how much they're interested about finally getting data governance figured out. But we know data governance is not new. It's been around for decades. So why now? Why this sudden resurgence and interest in data governance and getting that practice right? Well, we know in the era of AI, it's really driving this need. One, we know that inaccurate data fed into AI models can create consequential business impact. Let me give you a couple of examples. One, let's say you've got a cybersecurity app running and it's reasoning over the network traffic, and it's making decisions based on good traffic, bad traffic. And if you've got bad data in there that's trained the model, it might think that good traffic is bad traffic and shut it down. And instead of shutting down bad traffic, you're shutting down a customer experience. Or businesses often use financials in forecasting models. And if you then use that data that comes out to report to the street and it's inaccurate, that can be a regulatory policy violation, and it could be a fine. And we know that age-old challenge around data scientists and analysts can't find the data they need. So they spend a lot of time searching, getting access, prep, and cleansing. And this leads to weeks to months of delays in the actual innovation the organization is trying to drive. And it can lead to dissat from the employee perspective and turnover from well sought after talent like data scientists. So we don't want to have to go find more, right? And then the third one is around shadow innovation. What we mean by this is You and I, we need data to get our jobs done. We need to do the analytics we need to do, or we need to build the AI models we need to build. And if we can't find that data, we're gonna find it no matter what. And what that means is then there's no oversight, there's no visibility into what data is being used to drive this innovation, and we could be using bad data, unclean data, and that leads to more risk in the long run. And Microsoft's own journey around data governance really started with that very centralized, IT-led, risk-based approach as well. And we saw the same challenges. And so over the last several years, we went on a journey to really evolve to what's called a federated data governance practice. And what we've done then is, what a federated data governance practice does is push out the responsibility out to the different business data owners in the different businesses. And so you can push the responsibility out with that oversight over top. And based on those learnings and what we learned there, we have reimagined the data governance experience within Purview to deliver and support a modern federated data governance practice. The unified catalog has everything you need, all built in across all facets of data governance. You have a catalog that your data consumers can use to find sanctioned data products. And that catalog can ingest information across multiple catalogs. So you can be a catalog of catalogs or a single pane of glass for how you do data governance. That allows you to push enterprise policies down consistently. It also allows you to, with the built-in data quality tooling, it allows you to do data quality consistently as well across your heterogeneous data estate. And we have native integrations with master data management vendors, and as well, built into the tool are actionable insights and reports that allow you to really put the practice in data governance practice. And we do all this across the heterogeneous estate, so you can do it from a single pane of glass. Now, I forgot, I have something to announce. I was gonna jump right into the demo. So this week we announced 2 new innovations really around data quality. We know how important it is for AI. One, a new data quality scan engine directly into the tool that then does deeper data quality scans across those core data platforms like Microsoft Fabric, Databricks, Snowflake, Google, and Amazon. As well, we also offer the ability, it's called Purview Self-Serve Analytics in 𝗦𝗽𝗲, and it takes all that great richness and metadata that you have in the data catalog, and it allows you to export that to 𝗦𝗽𝗲, and then pump it into Power BI, and you can do gymnastics in Power BI over your data quality. So you can do those deeper investigations and figure out what's really going on if the reports that are built into the tool aren't working for what your needs are. So now, let's jump in. I want to give you a quick demo. I need a booster stool here. I can't really see over the thing. All right, you guys see all right? All right, perfect. So here you can see is the unified catalog where you've got everything built in that I just showed you on the previous slide. All facets of data governance built in. Here, under data discovery, is where your data consumers go to find data products. Catalog management is built for your business data owners and their teams. And then we've got health management built for your data stewards and your central data office. I'm gonna jump in. I'm a data consumer. I'm working on a sustainability project, and I'm looking for which AI models are producing the most emissions. Here in the data catalog, I can search for data products aggregated by different governance domains or business functions, however you like to think of it. Or I can go here and I can search in the toolbar, if I can type and talk at the same time, and the catalog will serve up a bunch of data products related to the search terms. I'm really liking the look of this one, corporate emissions created by AI. Here on the data product details page, we can see the description of our data product. We can see the use cases. We can also see this really beautiful data quality score over here. We can also see the underlying data assets that make up my data product. And you can see these assets span multiple sources across our Fabric Lakehouse, bunch of Power BI assets. We've got a Snowflake table in here and a Databricks table. And did you notice? I didn't have to navigate any technical terms, databases, or data lakes. It's all built right here in a very relatable and easy-to-use catalog with data products that are ready to go. Now, I can simply go up here and request access. Once I do that, I fill out this simple form, and what it'll do is trigger a workflow to the product owner who can choose to give me access based on my role or not. Let's home in on this data quality score a little bit more. How did we get there? So under health management, we've got our built-in data quality tooling that allows you to streamline how you do data quality management across your heterogeneous data estate. Now, here, we can see that the data quality score aggregates at the data governance domain level. Following our sustainability scenario down, we can also follow that data quality score down to the data product level, as well as all the way down to the data asset level itself. Once we're here, we can see that I have 9 active data quality rules running against this data set. We've done 8 scans against this data set in the last 30 days. I've got 3 actions I should probably take care of, but for now, I want to jump in and show you the data quality rules. Here, we can see and manage all of our rules, and if something's not right, it's very easy to add a new rule, and we've got this built-in rule types that make it very easy, and also custom rule type in case you need to do a custom rule based on the unique needs of your business. But better yet, we have suggested rules built in, which reasons over all the metadata in your data estate combined with the power of AI to make suggested rules, custom rules for the unique needs of this data set. Very easy to tick that box and apply. Now, once we're happy with our rules, we can easily run a quality scan right from here, the data asset level. Better yet, we can jump back to our governance domain, and we can schedule a scan, a data quality scan to run, and we can set notification alerts. So in case the scan runs and it doesn't meet our needs, we get an alert so we can address it. That's the end of the demo. There's so much more I can show you about the new value in Unified Purview Catalog, but all built in to really accelerate your modern federated data governance practice. I am going to hand it over to, did it go back? Excellent. So I'm going to hand it over to 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗀, who's going to walk us through, I can't figure these slides out, guys. Here you go. How we support regulations and compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Good afternoon, everyone. So how's it going so far? Good? All right. We got through the first sort of chapter, which was all about securing and governing all of your data. For the next section, we're going to cover all of the amazing announcements we have for our compliance suite in Purview, as well as really exciting work that we are doing around all of what we call as securing all of the AI data. So with that, let me talk about what we're doing for compliance. So I think many of you who've been on the journey with us with Purview have probably been working with our solutions around data protection, data retention, data lifecycle management, audit, and e-discovery. Meaning super, super critical for us to, for customers as they are sort of looking at their complete digital estates to really start with the right lifecycle management around data, the archival, the retention, the governance policies, a lot of amazing work there that we've done. Doing your internal investigations and audit with e-discovery, and then audit, which is like our platform where you really start to kind of bring in all of those alerts and investigations around compliance as well as security. But if you really look at sort of the problem that customers have today with Gen AI, these same capabilities need to now apply to all of the AI apps, not just your Microsoft apps, but all of the third-party apps. So what do? And this is where our vision for Purview is expanding beyond our Microsoft apps to really bring these capabilities for compliance to all of sort of pre-built Gen AI apps, as well as apps that are outside. And what does that mean, and why is that needed? Because let's say if you're running an app in your organization today, you will have a shadow AI problem. You will need to go and understand what is the new data that's getting created, your prompts, responses. They need to start getting audited. You need to put the right retention policies on those new data sets, and they may be different than the retention policies on your regular chats, emails, and documents. So that kind of granular protection and retention policies need to be applied on this data. And finally, doing all of those investigations, whether it's your e-discovery, DSR searches, that need to now apply on, say, if you're inquiring about 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗀 in a case, now you need to understand also how do I kind of understand all of the prompts and responses and the AI interactions she's done. So we're really, really excited to bring all of this value to more than and beyond Microsoft. And one of the critical partnerships we are announcing is with the work we've done with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is getting used in organizations, and one of the ways in which ChatGPT will get its security and governance is through Purview. So we've really brought in all of our best value for Purview with the integration with ChatGPT that we are announcing today. So let's take a quick look at that. It's going to be super easy. You're going to come into Purview portal. Shilpa is going to talk about DSPM for AI, but this is sort of our posture management solution that Talhah talked about, which extends to AI. You go in here, you set up ChatGPT with the compliance API of Purview. With a very simple configuration, you can start now getting all of the value for ChatGPT with Purview. What does this mean? All the AI interactions that are happening with users who are using ChatGPT, their prompts, their responses, AI interactions, they are now audited with Purview. You can do e-discovery with them. You can apply retention to them. Not only that, we start with the right permissions. Now you can start investigating around these. How cool is that, folks? All right. So now we do think about, when we talk about compliance, we do think about it's really important to also look at two other things that is happening. First is around the unethical use of AI that happens with interactions. In here, our flagship product is communication compliance. We've really brought in all of the value for communication compliance that existed in products like Teams, emails, to the interactions for prompts and responses. So whether you're in Word, whether you're in using BizChat or Teams, you can now start to monitor all of the unethical use with communication compliance. So we brought in a lot of new classifiers that are running that help you understand this sort of AI risk. And we're also sort of bringing in a lot of our regulations with Compliance Manager to expand and extend to AI regulations. This is really critical because these AI regulations in context of AI, you need to set up, when you set up that right posture, you need to set up those right controls and do the assessments and really deploy that, those AI apps securely. So with our new templates for Compliance Manager, specifically for EU AI Act, NIST, and ISO, we're really strengthening that posture in, and all of this is, again, built into, in context of your apps that are running. We've brought that natively into the Purview experience. So if you've been using Compliance Manager now, you do get that awesome score running in your organization that tells you how you're doing on your regulations. But we've really tailored this to these new regulations that are applied for AI. And so here what you see is EU Artificial Intelligence Act assessment. It's a tailored assessment. You can use this to start generating those controls and get going. All right, with that, we come to the exciting announcements for safeguarding your AI innovation. Here, we want to talk about two things. The first thing is what we are doing to really bring all of the value for Purview that we have around detecting your risks, understanding your posture around AI, protecting, as well as investigating our value. And when you really think about the value here, we really think about this app applying to all of your AI data throughout the life cycle of AI data. Why is this important? Because there's prompts going in. They can be sensitive. They can get accessed through high-risk users, which is insiders. You can have all sorts of new AI risks, such as jailbreak getting attempted. So we really want to think about that front half, which is all of your prompts. The next is we really want to think about all these AI apps, whether it's your pre-built AI apps, M365 Copilot, all of these amazing apps that we are building versus all of the custom-built AI apps that are going to be built out of Azure OpenAI, Copilot Studio, as well as ISVs building all of these apps. Really, all of them are going to start accessing your organization data, whether it's your chats, emails, documents. And so the right grounding needs to happen. So that's the middle part. And then we think about outputs, which is brand new intellectual property that's going to get created. This brand new intellectual property now has the risk of data leakage. You can end up having users share this inadvertently or maliciously. So it's really important to think about the entire life cycle. And with Purview, we really have brought that, our control set, our value across all of this. So to talk about that, I do want to bring up Shilpa, because there are 3 exciting announcements we are making here for what customers are asking. First is data security posture management for AI. So this is really expanding and extending the DSPM value to AI. The second one is customers ask us all the time, now that I've put in all the classification and labeling, and we do all of the grounding correctly, but how do you kind of really, my crown jewels, I'm not ready for AI to summarize as yet. How do we do that? So that's announcing our DLP for Copilot. And last but not the least, really bringing the insider risk value. It's important to understand who are the high-risk users in context of your AI apps. So with that, Shilpa.
Thanks, Matli. Hello, everyone. I'm Shilpa. This is a repeat of all of our sessions. So demos will be repeated, jokes will be repeated. For the interest of time, we'll cut down on the jokes, all right? With that, we'll get into demo. I am number 4. Where did that thing go? Ah, right here. Is that projecting? Yeah. All right, OK. So this is data security posture management for AI. All of the stuff that Talhah spoke about around data security posture management extends to AI as well. The proactive yet comprehensive approach for all of your AI, be it Microsoft 365, all of Microsoft Copilots, your custom-built AI, not just your custom-built AI, but your agents as well. And last but not least, third-party AI as well. This is your one-stop shop where you go to reports, recommendations, and one-click policies. Let's quickly look at all of the reports here. It gives you interactions with your AI applications over a period of time. Here you can see all of the Microsoft Copilots are here. Your custom-built AI, which is from Copilot Studio, all of the stuff from there is here. More importantly, if you look at it, the first question anybody asks is, OK, great. Who is sharing what sensitive information with which AI? That is by far the most critical. If you want to use it for your travel, this, that, and the other, that's OK. Right here, we'll give you all of that information. Purview's state-of-the-art classifiers with best-in-class audit signals intersected to bring to you all of these rich reports. You can slice and dice, be it departments. Are you kind of in the sales department? You don't want HR department using this data. All of that information, how that data is flowing, is right here. Talhah spoke about risky users, which risky users are interacting with which AI and submitting how much sensitive data. This is super critical to understand as well. Now, let's get back to the overview page and talk about how many of you have heard about this oversharing problem? Ah, that's right. OK. Oversharing is not a new problem, but definitely catalyzed by AI. And so, of course, oversharing can be solved in so many different ways. You can have really coarse-grained controls, take the entire site out from Copilot processing it, but then you don't get that much value out of it. So how can we give you fine-grained controls that you can use to protect against all of these oversharing risks? Right from here, Purview gives you some proactive oversharing reports. It tells you which AI is accessing which locations, what kind of sensitive data is there in those locations, how much is labeled and not, and most importantly, what kind of permissions on that data are there. An intersection of all of this helps you triangulate correctly how much of oversharing risk is in your organization, and then very easily you can begin your remediation journey right from here. Here, if you can see, with just one single click, all you need to do is set a label on that site, and now anybody, if they're actually trying to put in new data into that inadvertently, it gets automatically labeled. But wait, this TV offer doesn't end here. By clicking here, if you want to tell AI, any kind of AI, to not process your most sensitive data in your organization, you can do that with just 2 clicks. Here, this Obsidian merger is clearly being used across the board. And let's assume this is by far representing your most sensitive data in your organization. I very simply choose this label, click Add, and my policy is created. What it is telling the AI to do is if you encounter data with the label Obsidian merger, do not process it. Let's see how this works in action. Now let me go back. And here I am an end user in Copilot, and I'm asking it the question, here, can you summarize Project Obsidian? If you can imagine, I do have access to this, but still, Copilot will come back and tell me that it will not summarize this for you. This, ladies and gentlemen, is DLP for Copilot, available in public preview in a tenant with you. 𝗦𝗲𝗀, take it away.
All right, we're almost to the end. But I think there's one thing that Satya said in the conference, if you all remember. Every app is going to be an AI app. And there are going to be a lot of AI apps that are going to be created. 80% of those are going to be created by low-code developers. So what does this mean for getting these apps adopted in your organization? Like all of that stuff that you showed right now, that's awesome. That's for M365. But like, what happens when all these AI apps get created?
That's right. That's a great question. And this is what we've been hearing from our customers if you take a step back here, right? With so much of AI going on, first of all, there are 2 dimensions of problems. One is I'm a low-code developer. I need to know, hey, which LLM should I pick? I'm using my enterprise data, and because that's what is the amazing value that these custom-built AI actually allow you to harness your own data around here. But then is my data getting exfiltrated? How should I think about it? Do I have the expertise? I may not even have the tools. And then can you imagine all these AI apps getting widely deployed in your organization without the right security? That doesn't happen, right? And so just for this, 𝗦𝗲𝗀, we are integrating Purview with Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is our flagship platform that helps you create low-code copilots, but more importantly, all agents. So Purview is integrated right in there such that from the time you give birth to an agent, right from the beginning, you get the same levels of enterprise-grade security, governance, and compliance built right in. Hassle-free. 2 clicks, all makers can enable Purview. For the users of the AI that you see, they can be secure while being productive. And most importantly, for all of the CISOs and risk administrators who want to look left to right and understand how much of exfiltration risk or who's sharing what with their AI, that's all covered with complete comprehensive visibility. And with that, I think we have an announce slide, or we just jump into demo in the interest of time. All right, we'll just announce. All right, so the first one, data security posture management for AI. We showed you, we spoke about this, but imagine this just built custom for your custom AI and all of your agents. How cool is that? Then you have all of data compliance. Metli spoke about regulations, et cetera. There is no deployment of these agents in your organization if you do not have proof of compliance, audit, e-discovery, retention, the works. It's all enabled. Data security with insider risk management and labels in action. Let's jump into demo. All right. Here, I'm getting the boot. OK, all right, let's do this. OK, I've already created my agent here. And I've associated it with my right knowledge sources, which is coming from a SharePoint site here. Like I said, just 2 clicks, and I have security enabled. I can choose the right authentication model, authenticate with Microsoft, authenticate manually. For this, authenticate with Microsoft will do. And then in the generative AI tab, literally 1 radio button and save. Purview is enabled, like I said. Now, let's test this out quickly and show you how this is working in action. Let me ask it a sensitive question and see what it does. Come on. All right, OK. 2 things happening here. 1, it did go against my knowledge source. That's great. And the second thing here, let's zoom in a little bit. It's actually coming back with the right response. And in fact, it is telling me these are the references from which it pulled its responses. Here, it gives me awareness of the confidentiality of that data and also inherits the most restrictive label of all. This is how we prevent oversharing and data leakage using these things. So 2 things, makers we spoke about end users, all great. Now very quickly, we'll touch upon what happens when you go into your data security posture management. Here again, you can see there are these amazing reports highlighting everything from the agents that you created, sensitive interactions, all of your user risks. And perhaps here, we'll jump into one from these unethical users, looking at a jailbreak attempt. And right from here, if you go into the Activity Explorer with the right set of permissions, you're able to investigate deeply what this jailbreak attempt is, what the prompt is, what the responses are, et cetera. So this is how this gives you full comprehensive left to right for your agents. The most famous agent, James Bond 007, gets his edge because of all the amazing gadgets he uses. So don't let your agents go out there without the Purview integration, guys. Thank you.
All right, and I think we are done. So just want to leave you all with Microsoft Purview, all the innovations that you've seen today across secure, governed data, regulations and compliance, and all of the value that you saw for how we are really safeguarding all of that AI innovation across Microsoft built and pre-built as well as custom-built apps. Thank you, everyone. And you can stay in touch with us through the amazing resources we have in this, as well as we have one last session tomorrow on Fabric and Purview. Please do attend. Thank you, and please stay in touch with us through our communities. We look forward to always working with you. And thank you for the support.